What's up everyone, OJ here, welcome back to another video, and we're going to go ahead and talk about this whole GameFreak lie situation. I made a video saying if they did, like they definitely have to answer to it, and I wanted to see some more information come out about it, and it seems like they probably didn't lie in this situation. So shout outs to King K, who had a nice Twitter thread just recently talking about all of this, and it reveals some more information about the translation, showing that it was probably just misinterpreted by people out there and a little bit of a slight mistranslation or just not understanding fully what's going on. So I wanted to talk about it here, and let's go ahead and get right into what King K had to say. I'll have full links to King K's YouTube page and also the Twitter post as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I decided to actually do some research before boldly claiming that GameFreak lied to us. Wouldn't you know, the original one article in question was probably misinterpreted by people. Now the article in question is from Polygon, and it says, no, Pokemon Sword and Shield is not reusing models from recent Pokemon games. King K goes on to say, the only thing this article comments on is that GameFreak said they're making models from scratch. Nothing else is included. However, what is included is a hyperlink to a Reddit translation of the interview that includes the following, which you guys will see in the link in the description below. The translation uses the word rebuild from scratch, which carries with it an entirely different connotation. They had to rebuild each model because they could not copy them from the 3DS to the Nintendo Switch. While we might have ended up with the same models, they did have to rebuild them. They had a source of set of models to work from already, and if they changed one, they'd have to change them all. That would require discussion, collaboration, mock-ups, etc. GameFreak is on a strict deadline as it is, so rebuilding the same ones from scratch would be quicker. It's easy to look at some identical wireframes and come to the conclusion that we were all lied to, but these are real people we're dragging through the mud, and for what I think is a fundamental misunderstanding. The models were made from scratch, but they are the same base. Additional evidence to add here. Two professional translators say that the models had to be remade or redone from scratch. So even if you had a problem with the Reddit translation, here's more proof. This is the language being used, and you guys can check out that as well. There's another post linked in saying, by the way, the article it translates from is the original Famitsu interview, and there's people that talk about translators and everything like that, people that paid for the translation. All of that is there in the post, guys. King K also goes on to say, it seems like we all have different definitions of remake or redo something, but to me it seems pretty clear. They had to remake the same models from scratch because something about the old ones weren't transferring. So that's essentially the information there, guys. Once again, if you want to read everything that he had to say, check out the link in the description below. And to be honest here, like, I understand when it comes to this article and what was going on here. I understand some of the people that kind of flipped out, right? I understand all of that. I think that Pokemon has such a big and popular fan base, and the Nintendo Switch is such a popular system that's capable of so much, and some people are obviously looking, man, like, I gotta get this person, right? I gotta get GameFreak. I'm not happy. So they're going to be very quick to jump onto things. They're going to be very quick to put out information there, whatever the case is, right? But I think when you look at what was said here, because I looked through the original translations and everything, it does seem like they have to rebuild, right? It did say that. That does seem, so it seems like just like a misinterpretation by people, or just slight mistranslation, just a little bit, but just being misinterpreted at a wide base, right? I'm not a 3D modeler. I'm not an animator. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I know how hard it is to do these things, how much time it takes. But here's what I do know. I know from talking to people, it seems like this type of stuff does take quite some time. And I think that what the biggest thing is here is that GameFreak just needs more experience. I think that's the biggest thing at the end of the day. They need more experience, and they need to continue driving to get better and better as the games kind of come out. I think that's the best thing here. Now, let's go ahead and get into my impressions for Pokemon Sword and Shield, because I played over 5 hours, or not over 5 hours, right about 4 hours and 30 minutes of the game. And I think that the game is actually really solid. If you're a content creator or a streamer, there's a lot of streamlined stuff in the game that makes it so much easier to play. And I want to start with that because Pokemon's been around for 20 years. The base gameplay has been around for so long, but they've made little tweaks here and there. But this is the biggest, I would say, overhaul of quality of life that we've ever seen in a Pokemon game. I mean, you have things that you can do, like, for example, there is a PC box. So anywhere that you go, you can access all of your Pokemon. No more having to go to a Pokemon Center in order to get a certain Pokemon. You can swap anywhere for the most part. Now, that won't work in some areas, but for the most part, you'll be able to have all your Pokemon and access to them. I absolutely love that. You have like the move, remembering moves or renaming a Pokemon, forgetting moves, all of that is located in Pokemon centers from the very beginning of the game. So if you mess up, or if you feel like you need to have a certain move or anything like that, you can easily go there. In past games, you had to get heart scales. It was very tedious. It was silly just to have to go through everything just to be able to learn an old move if you made a mistake. Right from the beginning, it's right there. Another thing is the hand holding with the learning how to catch Pokemon and all of that. Like right from the beginning, once you get your Pokemon, you head off, you can go into the tall grass and be able to catch Pokemon, no problem. Another thing that I love as well, quality of life, is how the wild, like tall grass and all that, the wild area we'll talk about a little bit, but the tall grass works. I think it's really cool. You can see the Pokemon on there, and then there's like a little bit of like a hidden like shrubbing in the grass or something like that, and that one kind of even has like more rare Pokemon or something there, right? Or so a Pokemon that you won't be able to see as much than the Pokemon that are out there and you can't see. So the way that the like random encounters work, or just encountering Pokemon, is so much better. It's just so much better. And also another thing that I love too, which they added before, but it's also just in conjunction with everything here, being able to quickly access your Pokeballs in order to catch a Pokemon. That's also really good as well. So the quality of life improvements in this game are just awesome. They're really good. And another thing that I was blown away by, and I know this isn't that big of a deal, but I went to like an area where I saw there's like a Pokemon in the water, right? And I'm like, oh, well, I don't have the fishing rod, so I can't get that Pokemon. Then people are like, no, there is like a fishing rod. You already have it. I'm like, wait a minute. Since when do you already have a fishing rod? Usually somebody has to give it to you and it's after a little bit. But no, you can just fish from the very beginning. So it's stuff like that that just kind of streamlines the process, kind of gets you going and gets you ready and gets you prepared. They have some really cool stuff out in the wild area too, which I want to talk about because the wild area has been subject to some of the criticism, which I get, right? I completely get that, and I'll go over the things that aren't so good in this game as well. But the wild area is really cool. I think it's dope to have just a big area to where you can kind of walk around, you can camp with your Pokemon, you can make different types of curry, get experience bonuses, you can play with them. There's just all sorts of cool things you can do in the wild area, and I think that it's a great addition, and they can build upon that to even make it better. Maybe even adding in some mini games and stuff like that to there in order to increase the bonds between you and your Pokemon. That's all really cool. Being able to get berries and be able to just do all sorts of stuff in the wild area. I do like that. Pokemon just roaming around. You just see like Onyxes and all sorts of stuff. So I do like that with the weather and everything. And overall, I think it's a solid first start. But I do want to talk about some of the areas that necessarily aren't so good. Obviously, the dialogue could be better, not the best. I mean, it's popping, it's kind of funny here and there. The dialogue could be better in the game. The graphics obviously aren't the greatest thing in the world, but after actually seeing it on my screen, it doesn't look completely like trash and so horrible and the worst thing that I've ever seen when it comes to graphics on the Switch or anything like that. But there's definitely room to improve, especially in the wild area and all of that. Of course, we talked about the infamous N64 trees. Definitely room to improve there, but I do think it's a solid base and they're going to get better and better with it. But there's room to improve with the graphics and the animations, of course, of certain stuff. I mean, we've always talked about like the infamous double kick, right? Score bunny and all of that. So yeah, some of the animations can definitely be improved, and I think that those will get better as well. But those are kind of my complaints with it so far. So far, Graphics could be better. Obviously, animations could be better. The performance I've seen kind of vary, I guess, from some people. I've been in the wild area playing. I didn't really run into too many performance issues, but I'm thinking that some people do have some stuttering a little bit, but it's not too bad, and it's definitely not as bad as some videos that are being circulated around, and people made some videos saying that the performance is just so horrible, like it's the worst performance and it's chugging all the way down to like 10 frames or whatever the case is. Nah, that's not the case from my experience so far, but early impressions are this. Early impressions are that the game is really good. I think the game is really good. It's really fun. Right now, I have to wait till I kind of get through more, but it's definitely looking like an 8.5-ish type of range so far. The streamlined elements are really good, and I think that this is a great base to start with, because if they improve the other things, this is going to be like a 9 type of franchise, right? It can be 9 type of franchise and up if they improve some of the other things, because the gameplay is solid. The dynamic battles and the max raid battles and the co-op and some of the online functionality, all of that stuff is good, and I haven't even got to the end game and everything like that. So all the other stuff is really good. So they just gotta nail some of the other things with the presentation and the dialogue and some of the characters and stuff like that in the next games coming up, and they're gonna have something really good here. Has some issues here and there, but I'm having a ton of fun with the game, and as a content creator, this is easily the best one, because I can actually stream it. It's in HD. You know, there's just stuff that you can do, whereas in the previous ones you can't do it without some type of special capture card for like a custom 3DS or a certain 3DS. It was just ridiculous. So I'm really happy that they've got it onto the Nintendo Switch. So what do you guys think about Pokemon Sword and Shield now that the game is fully out? What are you guys thinking? What are your thoughts and impressions? What do you guys think about this whole situation with GameFreak Live thing kind of being busted at this point? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for this RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.